Looks like we're starting. The first couple of minutes of this game is extremely hard. Forest Follies is one of the most optimized levels in the run because it's right at the beginning. So most people just try to get a really good time or they just reset. And for most of the level, you're trying to optimize your dashes. And if you do that, then you can catch a really good pattern with all the things that are trying to hit you. And if you make a mistake, it can be like really hard to find your rhythm again. There's also a glitch towards the end of the level where you can skip the acorn maker, and it saves a lot of time, but it's really hard. It's really precise, and if you miss it a couple times, then you don't have the health to do it anymore. Looks like no one's taken a hit so far. That's really good. This is the glitch I was talking about. They're going to try to skip under this guy. And teddyras gets it first try, which is really good. And as you can see, it saves a lot of time. He's already out of the level, and Sparkles has to kill the acorn maker because he only has 1 HP, so you can't attempt it again. 36 is a really solid time, so a very good start for teddyras. And Sparkles was a good start too because dying there is just awful, and he survived. They're going to go into the shop real quick, and they're going to buy 2 items, and they're going to leave at the same exact time as when they buy the first item. And you can basically buy 2 items right when you leave, and that's what teddyras just did on the left. It saves about 5 seconds. It's either frame perfect or close to it, but you can get used to it by pressing both buttons at the same time. It's pretty consistent. Nice. teddyras probably gets around a 31 there. One thing to mention about this version of the game is if you switch weapons too fast, then there's a chance that the EX that you shoot, which is the special attack, will just not appear because the game doesn't really know which weapon you're on. And if you were watching teddyras there, he got a couple of those, and so the fight execution was pretty good, but he got pretty bad luck just because he's in this version of the game. You have to mash weapon swap, and so he got a glitched out EX, or he got 1 or 2 of them. So there's RNG just with whether or not your EXs actually come out in this game. It's pretty frustrating, but usually it only loses like a second or so. So frogs, they can attack with Hadoukens first or with flies, and either way you can get a phase 2 skip, but the flies are faster, but it's just harder to get the skip. So it is faster if you can succeed. And Sparkles was going for it there, but unfortunately he didn't get it. So this is the phase 2 that you can potentially skip. And Teddy is on to the last phase. Bulls used to be considered bad luck, but there's a new trick with lobbers where you can do double damage if you hit a lob or EX near a boss's foot, like near the floor, instead of on them. You can do double damage, and so bulls are pretty good now for the frogs. Nice, this is a really close race so far. No major mistakes, really. Also, we're using loadless timers, so the true time that they're at is on their specific timer. So their games, even though they're on the same exact time, their games may not be synced, and that's just something to keep in mind. But it looks like their hardware is pretty similar. They're still on the same exact time. There's not much to say about Goopy. You just have to make sure you aim your bullets, and that's it. Otherwise, it's just really mashing and hoping that your EXs don't glitch out. If he jumps again, it can be bad, but there's a way to make up for it. There's like other strats you can do. So it's pretty hard to waste time here. And now teddyras is on to Hilda. Hilda has one of the hardest glitches in the run. It's probably the hardest, honestly, where you try to do a very specific amount of damage to trap her in one of her transformations. And if you get the damage just right, she'll be frozen in that state, and you can skip the animation that brings her into her last phase, which saves a lot of time because the animation that brings her into her last phase is invulnerable to damage. And so you have a small window where you can just skip that. And so it saves a lot of time. And teddyras is pretty good at getting it, so let's see. He's definitely going for it. He's trying to set it up right now. He gets a pretty awkward pattern from Hilda here. This is going to be close. He might get it right here. Oh, just a little too much damage, but that was really close. So now he has to go through the final transformation, and it wastes a lot of time. Sparkles is trying to do it right now too, but he couldn't get the cards. When you speedrun this game, the final phase is pretty easy to get used to, but every now and then there can be some like troll star that goes really fast or something, or is just really sneaky. So just for comparison, teddyras got a 115 there. With getting that glitch successful that I was talking about, you can get potentially a 56. With the pattern that he had, he could have saved about 12 seconds or so. So it's just so crucial to get it if you're going for like, you know, one of the top times. But for a race, it's not that big of a deal as long as you just don't die. Like it's pretty simple. You won't lose that much time. Every now and then, Cagney can give a tough pattern to dodge, but if you can dodge at least one or two attacks, then you can usually just race him at the end. So teddyras was playing it pretty safe there at the end there. He was at 1 HP, and you really don't want to die on this fight. This fight is mainly just about optimizing your roundabouts, because you can basically ricochet your roundabouts if you jump at the right time, and they'll go behind you, the EX as well. And also just making sure you can dodge his attacks. And sometimes the flowers get in the way of your shots, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. The first fight of Aisle 2 is Baroness von Bonbon, and there's 5 different mini-bosses that she can send out, and the one that wastes the most time is the Jawbreaker. But if you don't get the Jawbreaker, you should be able to get a pretty solid time no matter what. It's only slower because of the death animation that you're seeing. Like, they just decided to make the death animation go on forever, so it wastes like 3 seconds or so. Sparkles gets Cupcake first, which is pretty hard to deal with. So you can get a quick kill, but you have to execute pretty well. iRage, it's called all bosses because there technically isn't any % of this game, but because the fastest way to beat this game is to not fight the devil. The devil is technically an optional boss, and so for all bosses, it means that you're not skipping the devil. So it's technically not any %. That's why you see that all the time. Wally is the first plain boss where you're weapon switching with bombs, and if you look at the lower left of teddyras' screen, you can see that he's switching in a certain rhythm to maximize the damage. So he's not just spamming, and Wally gives a lot of runners trouble because it can be hard to dodge some of his attacks while keeping the rhythm down. And he's pretty hard to dodge in the first and the last phase. You can get some really hard patterns there. So if Teddy does this right, the baby should die before he's any kind of threat. And he's going to do a quick pause here. And the pause gets the final phase onto the screen faster. It's like a pause buffer that isn't just for your safety, it saves time too. This is an insanely good race. Teddy comfy at 3 HP, right? I mean, Sparkles is super comfy with 3 HP right now. So this should be even up to Genie. Oh, Sparkles takes a death at the very end. He was like a couple hits away from killing Wally there. So unless Hilda Freeze is successful, Jimmy is usually the first fight of the run, where you can see runners completely skip a phase. If you do enough damage in the first and second phase, you can keep Genie in his sarcophagus phase and kill the last 2 phases while you're attacking the sarcophagus. And it saves a lot of time because you don't have to go through the phase transitions. So teddyras is hitting an off-screen hitbox there. In the bottom left, you can hit an off-screen hitbox with bombs and do damage to the boss. And he got it successfully here, so the boss is just locked in the sarcophagus phase for the rest of the fight. But it is really scary. It's harder to do than the actual fight, I think. But it just saves too much time. The ghosts can be really trolly, and they can just attack you randomly pretty much. Like, some of them go really fast. Nice. Okay, he played it pretty safe there at the end, but that was definitely the way to do it. So Sparkles finishes Wally, and he's doing the same route. This is the new route for Aisle 2. It saves about 4 seconds from the old route, which we were using for a really long time, strangely enough. No one just found out this was 4 seconds faster. So he's just going to go to Genie. He's going to do the same thing that Teddy's doing. The first phase of Beppy can be really tricky because it's pretty easy for him to hit you when he's pivoting, and sometimes he charges really quickly. But if you calculate your damage correctly, you can kill his second phase within this bumper cart phase, and it freezes him in his second phase for the rest of the fight. For most of the fights in Aisle 2, you can do that. You can freeze them. And so now, teddyras is actually on the 4th phase right now. He's already killed 3, even though it looks like he's in the 2nd, and it's like pretty chaotic. So it can be, even as a speedrunner, it can be hard to lose. It can be like really easy to lose where you are. Nice. He played it safe there because they can really troll you. The balloons just decide themselves how long they want to spawn for, and it's really stupid. So Sparkles he didn't get the phase skip for Genie. I don't know if he was going for it or not, but either way, he should be able to close this out with 2 HP here. So other than the difficulty of Grim, the only thing to say about it is that if you can do the same thing as you did to Beppy and Genie. If you do enough damage in the first phase, you can get another phase skip where you trap his final form in his second phase. And it makes the fight way easier because for those of you who played this game, I think you remember just how like scary the last form of this fight is. So like we don't want to deal with it as speedrunners either. And so he's going to try to do a pretty specific amount of damage here and just lock him. Oh, he didn't get it, but he might have gotten a bad pattern there. But now he's going to just chill in the back of the dragon because there's no hitbox here. There's no hurt box. The only thing that can hit you is like you just making a mistake with the cloud jumping, or one of his fireballs can technically like ricochet and get you. So that was a solid fight by teddyras there. So Sparkle's doing the fight the intended way. He may have gone for the glitch, but he didn't restart it. I don't know if it saves time to restart. So as you can see, like it takes a long time for the phases to actually appear, so that's why it saves so much time to just lock them. So Honey Bottoms starts with the policeman B, which is pretty straightforward, but you can sometimes get hit here, which makes it the next phase a lot harder. And in the next phase, Honey Bottoms can come down on one of the two sides or in the middle. And with the middle pattern, you could potentially skip 8 seconds or so. But he doesn't get it. It's about a 1/3 chance. And now he just got to be careful not to die here and just do as much damage as possible without dying. So now he can get like a semi-phase skip where you can kill her during her transition into the final phase. So here she's like powering up, and you can kill her before she turns into the plane. Nice. She barely gets it, or teddyras barely gets it. Sparkles gets the meteor pattern, so he can maybe get the glitch here. Nice. I think he got it. Yeah, so he got a really fast version of the glitch where the red guys still spawn, and it can be really scary. Nice, he gets it. Okay, that was really scary. If you get the glitch too quickly, then you can get the fire guys to jump at you still, but you can get a safe version of the glitch where they just don't come out at all. It's pretty cool. So this is the fastest fight of the run. If you can do a very specific amount of damage to the heart, then you can just skip the last 2 phases. And you're not really locking the last 2 phases. In like another phase, they just die. And so let's see if he can get it here. Nice. So he does an EX, a bomb, and then another bomb EX. And that was really good calculation on his part. There's a way to almost guarantee that he gets it, and he kind of demonstrated there that he knows what to do. So that was a 16-second fight. That's really good, because the best you can do on this fight is technically a 13, but that's just insane. Like a good time is like a 14 when there's no mistake. Sparkles gets hit twice on the policeman B, which is what I was talking about before. It can be really hard to optimize your damage if you get hit after that. You have to play really careful. The first phase of Sally control you a bit sometimes, but if she disappears, you can lose a lot of damage, and the angels that just popped up, that just rose up, means that you can't damage her anymore. So now he's hitting an off-screen hitbox on the top of the screen. So a lot of this fight is just knowing when she's invulnerable and when she isn't. That was a really fast kill. This is really good from Teddy. He doesn't get that good of a weapon trap for this phase, but he should be able to kill it in time, or at least tank a hit here. Yeah, he's just gonna tank the hit. So saving 1 EX for the last phase is really good, because you can just kill her right there. She doesn't have to do anything. Honey Bottom's giving Sparkle some trouble. It's really hard to stay alive in this fight sometimes. It loses, even the top runners lose a lot of runs here. So Teddy's going to move on to one of the easiest fights in the whole run. Like, not just on aisle 3, but just one of the easiest completely. There's not much tech in this fight, other than trying to hit double damage lobbers, which is hitting the lobbers right before they get to the boss. Oh, he takes a hit there at the very beginning. That's not good. Oh, he gets 2 parries. That's sick. I've never seen people try that before. So he's going for the parries here. That's interesting. So he's doing enough damage to probably do a phase skip here. The phase skip doesn't, or the phase lock, sorry, doesn't save time, but you can still get a good time with it. I've just never seen this in a long time. So Sparkles finishes the B, nice. As long as you don't get hit twice in the first phase for Werner, you're usually fine. Even if that happens, you're still usually fine, because there's not much that can hit you. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward fight. It's mostly just mashing. And now this is maybe the hardest fight in the run. In my opinion, it's definitely the hardest. The there's a lot of variance in difficulty depending on the pattern you can get, and the hardest patterns are the ones where he shoots his octopus gun again right after he puts it away. And in that case, it's really hard to save time, and it's really hard to not get hit. The only way to damage him like really hard is to be up in his face. So he just took two hits right there, but let's see what pattern he gets. He gets the shark, so this is a pretty safe pattern. There's a chance that he could have just gotten like mauled with more bullets there, and that's why it's pretty scary. Unfortunately, Teddy doesn't get the 2-cycle here. He has to go through one more cycle, which is really hard. He didn't have to get that right there. And so now he should be fine. Next for Teddy is Kala Maria. Can we get some Craigasms? This is one of the fights where you can over-damage her and soft lock the fight instead of contributing to damaging the next phase, but unfortunately you still have access to, fortunately you do have access to the menu and you can retry it, but it still wastes a little bit of time. Actually, it wastes a lot of time. But it probably won't happen because both runners here are pretty experienced with dodging it. So Teddy's probably got to be careful here. He's doing a lot of damage. Oh no, he's fine. So if you can get to that Medusa phase before the second phase ends, then you can just soft lock her, and it really sucks. Oh, Teddy takes a death at the end. The spikes can be really hard to see sometimes. Sometimes her head is like obstructing them, and it's really hard to see where they are. Teddyras doing a really good job of navigating there. Usually people just take a hit there, like on purpose, just to do more damage. Alright, so now he's got 2 HP, he should be fine. He's gonna save this bomb for the invincibility frames here, so that he doesn't get hit by the spikes, which is really good, it's really smart. Alright, so Teddy takes obviously a really big death there, but he's still a couple fights ahead of Sparkles, so he can just close this out if he doesn't make any major mistakes. But it's still anyone's race because it's really hard to not make mistakes, especially at the end of the race here. Phantom Express is the last boss of Aisle 3, and it's really hard. It's a really long fight, so a death here can be extremely costly, but it's really important to not get hit on accident because you might have to damage boost later on. Damage boosting is basically where you're taking damage on purpose to do more damage to the boss, and so you really want to avoid unnecessary hits in case you need to do damage to be fast. That's basically why. And so he takes a hit on the first phase there, which can make the fight really tough depending on what happens. This is a lot of people's favorite fights. Like the song is insane. Like the whole song is really cool too. It's also just really crazy looking. So he might have to take a hit here. We'll see. Damn, he was trying to play it safe, but but now the last phase is really scary, and that's why you want to have at least 2 HP here. Because the flames are really random and the boomerang can just get you like a ninja. It's really scary. Oh, like, that's what I'm talking about. The flames are just so random. It's really hard. This is definitely anybody's race now. Teddy getting the 2-cycle there, he decided to play it really safe, which is pretty smart. He just needs to keep this lead. Oh, he takes a hit at the end trying to get the parry. Sparkles gets the squid pattern again, which really helps. Nice, he's going into the last phase. They're both going into the last phase. And if you go for the EX there, sometimes the boomerang can just get you. It's really bad. So Sparkles is definitely catching up now. Train is one of the longest fights in the game. There's a lot of different techniques you can use to kill these two lollipop monsters. It can be nice. He gets them both at the same time. That's sick. That's what you want to do. You want them to die at the same exact time. The one that he's doing is pretty safe, but it can be really hard to execute sometimes. Looks like he's going to close it out now. Nice. So Teddy gets the kill. He's moving on to Hell. Alright, so Sparkles enters the Medusa phase with 2 HP. Oh, I think he gets the soft lock. I think he got the soft lock, and I think you can retry here, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think you can retry the fight. What just happens? Did he just... Is there a hitbox down there that I just don't know about? I think there's some way to kill her down there or something that I just don't know about. So he does not... That's not a soft lock. That was really cool. So he gets the kill. I think he's hitting some off-screen hitbox or something. So teddyras is onto the first King Dice boss. It's the Poker Chips boss, and usually runners take damage here on purpose just to do more damage, because it can be really tough to do damage if he jumps again right here on the left. If he goes up, nice. He doesn't do it, but he was about to. It's hard. It's easy to waste a lot of time there. The first 2 fights are pretty straightforward. It can be hard to not take hits, though. And the last fight, number 9, that we're going to go to, is the 3rd fight, and the last one that we're doing before we fight King Dice himself, is the monkey fight, where it's supposed to be a memory matching game, but we're just going to do a really crazy glitch and just win in 2 seconds. So Teddy, definitely trying to play it careful here, because if you can waste a couple seconds here and play it careful, you can get those seconds back when you're fighting King Dice. If you have 3 HP when you're fighting King Dice at the very end, then you don't have to parry any of the cards. You can just race him. Like, you can do more damage to him than he does to you and just kill him. That's one of the... You can really just flex on King Dice with the weapon swap glitch in this game. So what Teddy was trying to do there is he's trying to parry just barely enough so that the monkey barely bounces off the side of the screen. Nice, he might have gotten it there. Oh, he didn't. If you can get the monkey to barely bounce off the screen, and then if you scroll the screen, then he can just basically just leave the arena, and the game no longer sees him. So he gets it there. The monkey barely bounced off. He scrolled the screen, and he doesn't have to play this memory matching game. And if you do this correctly, then this is the fastest way to beat the game. So you're gonna see this in basically like any world record for legacy runs. They go for the monkey, even though it's really hard. You can save so much time. And so now he has 3 HP. He's gonna do what I'm talking about probably, where he just doesn't parry. Okay, no, he's just gonna parry anyways. Some people may be wondering, why not parry? Like, don't you get more cards, and doesn't it make it faster? Well, sometimes, for some fights it does, but for most fights it doesn't. You can save a lot of time sometimes by not parrying. So teddyras is he's done with King Dice. He's on to the Devil, and this is his race to win. If he does Devil first try here, then he will win. So this is what I was talking about before. You're given a yes or no question there, and any percent is the other answer. This is technically not the fastest way to beat the game. It's just much more popular. Oh, so Teddy gets a really hard pattern at the very beginning. If he claps you at the very beginning, it's really hard to dodge it, and it's really hard to do damage. Wow, this is a really hard pattern that Teddy's getting here. The snake was kind of a blessing there because that's one of the easy ones. You can potentially get another hard one. It's really, there's a lot of variance in the difficulty for the first phase. And Teddy just did a pause glitch there. You can basically buffer. It's a buffer where you can gain control of Cuphead faster than intended by doing a pause at the right time and by shooting an EX. Ooh, this is the end if you can get this. Nice. So teddyras wins with a 24-49. GG's to teddyras. Oh, Sparkles accidentally gets the reset. He accidentally hit the reset. So if he goes on the stages he's already cleared, he doesn't have to play anything anymore. He can just fight the final boss. It'd be really crazy if you just had to fight everything again. Alright, so Sparkles finishes King Dice and is on to the Devil. We might get an interview here if it depends. This was a really close race for almost the whole time. It was really good. There have only been a couple that are closer than this. Yo, Teddy, what's up, man?
Hey, I got super tilted at Calvin where you like that literal last like half-second death.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's so frustrating, especially because sometimes the last phase can be totally free there, right? Like the spikes aren't in your way at all. You can just destroy her, but sometimes it's really hard to see. Yeah, like that spike you got hit by there was really hard to see. Her body was basically like obstructing it completely. But that was a nice run, man.
Bad luck on that fight, but
yeah,
I just threw on 3 minutes on my run because of those 3 deaths. It was like
yeah, it was crazy. But you never lost a lead. You were always ahead of Sparkles the whole time. So good job, just like keeping your composure. And if you die, just like not letting it affect you.
Good thing the mic was off.
Looks like Sparkles is going to close it out here. He's got 2 HP. Nice. So Sparkles finishes with a 32-21. GG's to Sparkles. He'll probably be in here for an interview in a little bit. So what fights were you practicing the most going into the race? Like which fights were you most afraid of?
Much before. I don't know why Cal Marie has been like doing. I don't know. She didn't screw me over lately. I don't know why, but it happened here too.
Yeah, it can be tough.
Ago, she was like just for like I don't know months. It was just like free fight every time, no matter what luck. And then like the past week or so, I've just been dying to her for literally no reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, for some reason it's like that where you can have like a really bad day or two where it just doesn't work, but then the next month is fine for her. It sucks. And also
honestly,
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Just day to day, one boss will give you like trouble the
frustrating
entire
too.
day. Then tomorrow it's like the easiest thing in the world, like it never happened.
Yeah,
It's
you can
really
just do a
weird.
bunch of soft locks, and then you can just beat the game really easy the next day. And also, the train looked like it was giving you a little trouble. It's really hard to just not
Yeah,
get
like-
hit like on accident. Yo,
Hello.
what's up, Sparkles?
What's up,
How are you,
guys?
man?
Adequate.
GG, dude.
GG. GG, Teddy.
I'll ask you the same question. Which fights were you most afraid of coming into it? Which ones did you practice the most?
I'd say I was scared of frogs, because my last race I wasn't very confident with frogs. I ended up stuffing up quite a bit, and also Briny Bid has always been a bit of a gatekeeper.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And also Robot. I was pretty confident with most of Isle 2, but Robot kind of had me worried, and I was stuck on Robot for like a minute or so, but I did get there in the end, so. And the ones I practiced the most, I didn't really practice enough at all. I practiced all of them pretty equally, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah, the pirate can get like anybody, dude. It's so hard. So there's
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 people who can do the fast cycles really fast, and that requires a lot of luck, even with like really good execution.
Yeah.
So the pirate can just like screw you over sometimes. It sucks.
Yeah,
And yeah, the
exactly.
robot it's really hard. Sometimes I find myself that like freaking out if I miss robot once and like I just can't get it again. I'm like, wow, are you serious? It's gonna end
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
So like, good job like just finally finishing it, because I know a lot of people just would have been stuck there for longer.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
That was a really close race up until I think he took even though you died on train, I think you still took a pretty big lead there, and maybe in a little bit in the middle too. But for most of the race, it was like really close. So that was really cool. Definitely cool to commentate the whole thing. Thank you guys both. GG's to both of you guys. Thank you to everyone watching. I think this is the only race today, but this was really cool. This is a lot of people, so this is really cool. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the race.
I'm super tired.
Do you guys have any closing remarks before we end?
GG, and thank God I didn't get triple octopus, otherwise it was over.
I like Cuphead.
Nice.
Alright.
Alright,
Bye.
Teddy Ross. We'll cheer you on in the next rounds. Thank you all.
Later.